Blue days are gone, nothing but blue skies from now on.
Good morning, happy Mother's Day. It's a wonderful day to celebrate our mothers and to celebrate our children, for that matter, for those of you who are mothers, to celebrate just the opportunity to be a part of being a mother. I learned a lot from my mother, and I came across this wonderful little thing about what my mother taught me. I want to share with you some of the things, and I resonated with many of these. Maybe you will too. My mother taught me about religion. When I spilled grape juice on the carpet, she instructed, you better pray that stain will come out of the carpet. and of course, she taught me logic. She said, from her decisive words, because I said so, that's why. And she taught me foresight. Make sure you wear clean underwear in case you're in an accident. Yeah, she did actually teach me irony as well. She, keep laughing and I'll give you something to cry about. And let's see, she taught me stamina. You'll sit there until you finish all that spinach. Let's see, what else did she teach me? She taught me about the weather, yeah. It looks as if a tornado swept through your room. And she taught me about the circle of life. I brought you into this world, I can take you out. And let's see, and my mother taught me about behavior modification. Yeah, stop acting like your father. And of course, she taught me about envy. There are millions of less fortunate children in this world who don't have a wonderful mom like you do. And it was very true. And so I want to engage in this time I want to actually engage in a very, an age-old sacred tradition that's carried on mostly by athletes throughout the world, especially when they're on television. Hi, Mom. I love you. Anyway, happy Mother's Day to all of you. I'm tickled that you're able to be here and that we can celebrate this time together and talk a little bit about mothers and being a mother. And I came across a little story of a little girl who was asking her mother about how did the human race get started. And the mother answered, well, God made Adam and Eve, and they had children, and so all mankind was made. And a couple of days later, she was Dad, and I was talking to Dad and said, well, Dad, how did the human race get started? And he said, well, you know, many years ago, there were monkeys from which the human race evolved, and the girl was confused. And a few days later, she went back to her mom and says, you know, Mom, Dad, you know, how's it possible that you told me that the human race was created by God and said that Dad said they developed from monkeys? And Mother said, well, that's very simple, dear. I told my side of the family, and he told his side of the family. Sorry, guys. We got to laugh at ourselves, you know. I knew the ladies would like that. So today we're actually honoring moms, but we're also honoring the divine feminine. And it's important, I think, for us to all recognize that the divine feminine is actually a part of each and every one of us. That in unity we understand that we have spiritual qualities that are both considered male, quote, and female. And these are archetypes. These are archetypal awarenesses, and they're archetypal energies. And each one of us has those within us. And it's important for us to recognize those. And the reality is we don't become whole beings until we recognize that we have all of those qualities within us. And it's important for us to recognize that we have a nurturing aspect of ourselves, and we have that part of ourselves that really is there to skin, to kiss the skin knees. And all of us have that kind of compassion and that kind of awareness. And not everybody here, I know, has had the archetypical mother or has been the archetypical mother. Let's just be real honest about that. We know that that's not always, there's this image of what we think mothers are, and there's a beautiful thing about that, and we want to honor that. And we want to honor all of those who are at whatever level and what way we can to understand that none of us would have been here had not been for Mom. And so it's important for us to recognize and honor the reality of the archetypal awareness of the spiritual nature of motherhood and the motherhood of God, the motherhood of the divine. And that is a part of each of our being. I want to read to you from John chapter 2, verse 1. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there. And Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. And when the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." And he said, "Dear woman, why do you involve me?" And Jesus replied, "My time has not yet come." And his mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." And nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used for the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. And Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. And then he told them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." And they did so. And the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, and though the servants who had drawn the water knew. And then he called the bridegroom aside. And he said, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now." This, the first of his miracle signs Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee. He thus revealed his glory, and his disciples put their faith in him. I think it's really very interesting on a lot of different levels. There's a lot of wonderful metaphysics in this, and I'm not going to get into all the metaphysics of it, but it really is about transforming a particular situation into something that is greater, into something more, into something better. But I want to share that I think the most significant thing for today that is for us to notice and pay attention to, and I don't think it's any coincidence that Jesus' very first miracle happened after his mother asked him to do something. That's pretty important, you know. But I think that metaphysically it's important to understand that that's also an understanding that the feminine part of our nature, the mother part of our nature, is that intuitive part of ourselves. And we will find that the first thing that will happen before we actually move into transforming a situation, before we actually are able to change a circumstance into something greater and more, is we have to listen to that part of ourselves. We've got to listen to our moms. We've got to listen to our moms internally. We've got to listen to that inner voice of the divine, of spirit, that comes through the heart center. I had a wonderful opportunity to share and to celebrate our wonderful Sandy Crump graduating and getting her master's. And in fact, I think we should give a big round of applause to Sandy. Sandy is our wonderful youth person and board member, and I was visiting with her and some of her friends that were there, and one of the couples that was there has started a new business, and they are actually starting a hearing aid company. And they have a new invention, they said, that they're really going to be marketing. They think it's going to be absolutely, I mean, I just know it's going to be explode. And they've created a new hearing aid that when it picks up the sound of a mother's voice, it gives a little electrical shock. I think they're going to sell billions of them. And, oh, man, just think of the repair costs that they're going to be, I mean, they're going to be able to get, because they're going to get broken every time. Am I right? I thought that was really clever, though. But I think it reminded me that, you know, it's really important for us to notice and pay attention when we are hearing that voice of our inner mother and listening to that voice and hearing not only the wisdom and guidance that brings, but the nurturing and the comforting of that as well. There is a part of us that is there. There is a comforter that is in our very nature, that is in our very being. And if we listen closely, we can really tune into that and experience that blessing and experience the beauty of that. I was reading in Psalms 104, verse 30, it is written, "Thou sendest forth thy Spirit." The Spirit is omnipresent, as revealed in this psalm, and then revealed in Psalms 139. "Whither shall I go from thy Spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence?" And to me, it occurs to be a mother is something that is very unique. It's unique, of course, to the female species. Besides having the experience of feeling the baby and the child growing inside of you, being a mother is about having an almost cosmic connection. It's a connection you have with your children. I have had so many stories I've heard from moms of being able to hear and know something is going on with their children, even though they are around the world. And the stories are just phenomenal that I've seen and heard and experienced of someone having awareness of something going on with their child, primarily moms. I don't know that I've had really that many dads that have had that kind of experience. Perhaps there have been some, but they haven't shared it with me perhaps. But moms seem to really have this really unique connection with their children, and they really tend to know a lot about what's going on with them. You know, my mom, of course, always knew something was going on when it got quiet. And, you know, what are you kids doing, right? But I know that she oftentimes knew things that were going on with me before I even had a chance to share them with her. And she just had awarenesses about that. And that was always a unique thing to experience. Mother Teresa once referred to herself as a little pencil in the hand of a writing God who is sending a love letter to the world. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. And you too are the pencil in the hand of God because you are God's love in expression. And you are sharing that love with us and with each other. I thought about metaphysically also the first man and woman and Eve. Eve's name means elemental life, life and living. Eve represents the soul region of humankind and is the mother principle of God in expression through which life is evolved. The I am, wisdom, puts feeling into what it thinks. And so Eve, feeling, becomes the mother of all living. Back of feeling is the pure life essence of God. And Adam and Eve symbolize the I am individualized in life and substance. They are the primal element forces of being itself. This is from Charles Fillmore. So a mother is not, according to Dorothy Canfield Fisher, a mother is not a person necessarily to lean on, but a person to make leaning unnecessary. And so it is a part of motherhood that gives birth, but it's also a part of motherhood that also helps release us into being our own being and being our own nature, and it helps us to move into that state. And I came across this great Spanish proverb: an ounce of mother is worth a pound of clergy. Puts me in my place, right? Yeah. And of course, Oprah Winfrey once said that biology is the least of what makes someone a mother. And I believe that's true. And there are those who have never had their own biological children and yet do embody an awareness and a mothering energy that really does help make a difference in our lives and our world. And so we honor that today. We honor all of those, all of you who are biologically mothers and those who are not mothers, but also we honor the mother within our own nature. We honor the divine mother, and we honor the essence of that unique spirit that does nurture and guide us lovingly and gives us comfort when we are in pain and lifts us up and dries our tears. And yeah, it's all there for us when we tune into it and are open to it. I want to read to you, Mother's Day here in the U.S. Has an interesting history. It actually, the move to have a declaration of a celebration of Mother's Day started back in 1870. But a day for celebrating mothers and the divine motherhood has gone on actually for centuries in many different cultures. But here in this country, it actually was primarily championed by Julia Ward Howe. Are you guys familiar with this story? It's really a pretty neat story. And she actually, it was actually a peace movement. It was really a movement to really establish peace through mothers. And I thought that was really fascinating. Let me read to you what she wrote. It's a Mother's Day proclamation. Arise then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts. Whether your baptism be of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have questions answered by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands will not come to us reeking with carnage. For caresses and applause, our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, the women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the voice of a devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe our dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of counsel. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace. Each bearing after his own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. In the name of womanhood and humanity, I earnestly ask that a general Congress of women without limit of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient and the earliest period consistent with its objects to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interest of peace. And this is really the foundation of what Mother's Day started to be in this country. It wasn't necessarily just to sell cards, believe it or not. There was a very powerful understanding and awareness that the mother principle and the connection that mothers have is something that can be stronger than any of our national conflicts. And I believe this to be true. And so I think it's valuable and important. And I know that peace really does come through that mother energy, through the divine feminine, through the energy of the heart. And so we want to do a little bit of we're going to do what's the word I'm looking for? A ceremony today. And in doing this ceremony, I'm going to ask for 7 women to volunteer. I'd like to ask you to volunteer to receive something. And I'd like to just see a show of hands of 7 of you who would be willing to come forward and participate. Mary Helen, would you come? Teresa, that would be wonderful. Yes, Lizzie. Ula, come. Nancy, come, please. How many we got here? We need 7 all together. Yes, Rolinda, please. And back in the back, Charlotte, would you come? Yeah, that'd be great. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. Great. And at this time, I'd like to ask for 7 very strong and loving and courageous men to volunteer and step forward and to be givers. Come. Thank you, thank you, thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need 1 more. Russell, that'd be great. That's 7. Awesome. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is come across the front here and just randomly pair off with one of these wonderful ladies we have here in front of us. Would you do that, gentlemen? Yeah. And actually have each of you turn sideways so that the congregation, in other words, kind of pair up. Can we do it that way? Yeah, there. Have each of you facing sideways so that you can look out into the congregation. Are you good? That'll work. That'll work. Excellent. And we're going to start down here with Mr. Bill. Bill, I'm going to ask you to start us off. And I'm going to give each of the gentlemen something to read. Just hold that a moment. Hold that a moment. Hold that a moment. Hold that a moment. Can't read it? Okay. Well, we'll hold that a moment. And hold that a moment. Hold that a moment. Anybody got any reading glasses or anybody? Okay, thanks, Jim. Thanks. Thanks, Fred.
Better cook John.
Okay. I'm going to skip right over that one. Now, what I'm going to ask of the gentlemen, I want to ask you to, are you willing to be a proxy for all of us men in the world? Are you willing to be a proxy for us men today?
Yeah.
And all of you ladies, would you be willing to be proxies for all of the women in the world today?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So with that awareness, we're going to go through and ask you to read each of these paragraphs to all of the women in our lives and all the women of the world. And this is from all of us as men. And Bill, will you start with the very first one? And just read that to Miss Teresa as a representative of all of the women in our world.
I honor you as the givers of physical life. Thank you for agreeing to become a vessel to bring forth new life on this earth, caring for children, lovingly providing a spiritual base, recognizing and nurturing their unique being and individual path, accepting a lifetime commitment of love and care, and recognizing that your children will always be a part of your life.
I honor you as the caregivers and nurturers. As teachers, nurses, counselors, ministers, you care for the healthy and well-being of others from the goodness and generosity of your heart. You nurture their growth, their connection to spirit. You support their learning in daily lives and during times of challenge. You have chosen this path of contribution.
I honor you as pursuers of knowledge and intelligence. With a marvelous willingness to ask questions, you boldly seek information, search out answers, open yourself to new perspectives and greater knowledge. You don't hold back. You go ahead and explore uncharted territory, challenge current wisdom, and create new understandings that open the world for the rest of us.
I honor you as the earth mothers, gardeners, and soil caretakers. Honoring the earth that brings forth the abundance and beauty of life around us, the flowers, trees, fruit, and veggies is core to your nature. You understand the gift that the earth is and recognize all it brings to our life. You treasure it and watch over it and remind us of its sacredness.
I honor you as the protectors of the waters. From our earliest moments, all of us are nurtured by the waters of the womb. Our body is over 90% water, and much of our world is covered by the waters of the oceans, lakes, rivers, and streams. Water is life-giving, life-producing, nurturing, and cleansing. You recognize it as a force of nature that supports us and supports life.
I honor you as the visionaries. We honor the ability of women to look out and see the possibilities, to recognize the vastness and limitlessness of the skies, the magnificence of the sun and the moon and the stars, to recognize the invisible as real, to bring forth fresh insight like a cool breeze that calms us and expands our world.
I honor you as the wild, wise women with many years of experience, challenges, and triumphs behind them. They have the courage to trust the voice within and act from this inner wisdom. They listen and perceive. They receive others as they are. They speak their truth. They act from their heart. They let their souls be seen. They dance with exuberance and live to the fullest.
And now I'll ask if all of you gentlemen will still continue to be proxies for all of us men in the world. And invite you, if you will, to join me in doing a ho'oponopono with all of the women of the world. And a ho'oponopono is just a healing process of forgiveness and love. And so I'll ask you to simply turn to the women who are with you, representing all of the women of the world, and just simply repeat after me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I love you.
I love you.
And again, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I love you. And so it is. Amen. And that's the end of this little part of our ceremony, and we'll move into our, if you'll go ahead and have a seat, we'll move into our meditation time. Thank you all. So let's just move into a comfortable place. Begin to take a nice deep breath, breathing in and out, allowing the body temple to be at peace, blessing the body temple with thoughts of peace and love, of harmony and relaxation. And as you breathe in and out of the heart center, let your heart and your mind be turned toward your earthly mother with all of her unique qualities, those that we liked and those that we didn't like, and know that they are there to bring us into a whole nother level of our being. Let's bring into our awareness our archetypal mothers that open our awareness to compassion, to our connections, to our earth. Open our awareness to our Earth Mother, this beautiful planet that we have the privilege to be in and of and on and with. And let's bring into our awareness our Divine Mother, the Spirit of God that nurtures, that heals, that lifts us into a deeper and richer and fuller experience and expression of life as love and joy and peace. And that creative principle through which all things are born. Feel your heart expanding with the connection and the appreciation of all in this world. And all the creative energy that comes through us, through that source of the Divine Mother. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, Blessed Spirit. Thank you, Divine Mother, for breathing life into us and through us and out into our world. Take another nice deep breath. Let that heart be filled with that appreciation of gratitude and of love for our Divine Mother. And so it is. Amen.